Nightline continues from New York City with Martin Bashir.
Now, our next story may not be for the vegetarians among you, but for many meat lovers, a new sex symbol has emerged, from a perfect shoulder of lamb dripping off the bone to a scrumptious ribeye fillet. They work with their hands and they know all the cuts. The butcher is suddenly in. And for Sharon Alfonsi, it's a sign of the times.
In kitchens across the country, they rule with cleavers, tattooed, muscled forearms, wielding knives, saws, breaking down beef, lamb, pig, primal, dangerous, and some say hot. And that raw appeal has led some to call butchers like New York chef Seamus Mullen,
we're gonna cut right down,
and Chef Ryan Skeen sex symbols.
If you would see me at the end of a service, I definitely don't think anyone would consider me a sex symbol.
that's cool and everything, but I think more people would be grossed out by someone cutting up a carcass than aroused by it.
Butchers are considered rock stars in the culinary world, with their faces in magazine spreads, their names on meat products, gaining fame and even groupies. So much interest that now young men and women, many without any culinary background at all, are trying to beg their way into apprenticeships with old school style butchers like Pat LaFrida, a third-generation New York butcher.
We've turned down probably 40 in the last month of people who just want to come in and basically get an internship.
It is hard work and long hours.
I don't know how many of those butchers will be butchers next year. Probably next year they'll be pastry chefs, and then they'll be on to the next trend. I mean, to be able to recapitulate and do this the same thing every day and every night is difficult.
And while the trend amuses LaFrida, it sends Josh Ozersky, an unapologetic meat lover, over the edge.
I mean, look at those seams, the flecks, the white, creamy. It's like little snow caps on a stormy sea, you know? You think you're going to see that in one of these hipster butchers? You stand a better chance of seeing God.
We met up with Ozersky, national restaurant editor for CitySearch.com, in the dry-aged room at New York's Prime House restaurant.
The cathedral.
This is like the Playboy Mansion for a true carnivore, you know?
Many think the trend is taking off because of intense interest in where our food comes from.
Instead of being a fat, unlettered vulgarian, it's like some guy who has a degree from Brown and like a sleeve tattoo that costs $3,000. So that's like, oh, I want to be like him.
What we've always trained ourselves to do is be the behind-the-scenes suppliers.
He admits things have changed for him. He used to have to make sales calls to restaurants. Now, the restaurants call him. He sells to nearly 600 New York City restaurants, with many of their menus boasting the LaFrida name.
One of the things we keep hearing from people is that the reason they think this is like such a hot profession is because there are knives and there are blades and all that kind of stuff. Do you look at it that way?
No, not at all. This is serious business.
If you wanted to hire a contractor, you wouldn't get like a Daniel Day-Lewis that happens to own a hammer. Like a butcher, like a chef, should be someone that's basically fat and ugly. You know what I mean? Because that's more time that he's going to spend in his shop working on carcasses like he should be, rather than out gallivanting with the hotties.
If you want to make Ozersky's heart swell, talk to this guy, Frank Ottamanelli, a New York butcher for over 40 years and one of 4 butcher brothers.
I want to talk about your hands. Show me your hand. Look at these hands. But look how big your fingers are.
They're not piano hands.
Ottamanelli is considered a god among the meat elite, a legendary butcher.
Hey, Frank, how you doing?
The hardworking grandfather's eye for meat has inspired praise, but in all his years, he says he has never had a groupie.
Do you consider yourself a sex symbol?
I don't know. What do you think?
Of course you are.
Well, then I am, hey. Macho.
Ottamanelli says he doesn't crave attention. He knows being treated like a piece of meat isn't always a good thing. This is Sharon Alfonsi for Nightline in New York.
The meat elite, a sign of the times. Our thanks to Sharon Alfonsi.